is good, everybody? My Paper Moon fam. It's your boy, PaperSIn, back with another reaction video. This one is called How Society Programs You, Fear and Anxiety. Yeah. And it's by the YouTube channel Jem Veda. I think Veda? I don't know if I said that right. But let's get started. Did you know that we're actually living? Well, I mean, yeah, but okay.
Did you know that we're actually living in the safest times in human history?
At
least for first world countries, this is absolutely true.
Okay.
So why is it that you and many people maybe feel a subtle unease when living life? A tapping noise of anxiety is happening in the background in your day-to-day. It's almost like our society is scared. Oh wait, it is. So how is it possible to be living in the safest times in human history, yet at the same exact time be so scared?
News, propaganda,
Barry
all that shit.
And he said a very profound quote that I really like. Quote, "We are living in the most fear-mongering time in human history. And the main reason for this is that there's a lot of power and money available to individuals and organizations who can perpetuate these fears." Bingo. Man, fear and anxiety. This is going to be a very important video when it comes to understanding how society programs us using fear and anxiety against us. Basically prehistoric emotions that we've used for survival for such a long time. And now it's used in different domains like politics, marketing, and education to get people to act a certain way. So I'm going to cover at least 5 domains of life where this is present, and also what happens in the body when it comes to fear. How does the mind react to fear? How does the body react to fear? And of course, we're going to talk about what you can do about these things that go on. From a base survival standpoint, the mind scans the environment for threats. Like, what could potentially kill me, basically, in the environment? And fear arises, it's an emotion that we feel to alert us to either fight the threat or run away from the threat. And when we do this, the thinking mind shuts down. The body prioritizes thinking a lot less, and it prioritizes survival more. And think about it, when you can get people to think less rationally because they're in fear, you can get them to go with any cause or belief system you want them to, right? Because you can position your belief system as a way of getting away from what they're scared of. So for example, a politician that wants to get elected, he's not going to necessarily just talk about the things he wants to do for the people that support his party. Sure, that's nice. Right. But that's not going to really persuade people at a primal level.
It's got to make them afraid of the other person.
Level is talking about the things you fear most. So if you fear, for example, people taking your jobs, if the politician wants to get elected, he's going to talk about that a lot. They're going to steal your jobs. Your brain reacts to that like, oh, they're going to steal our jobs. I don't want that. How do I prevent that? Oh, I just have to make sure this guy's elected. The fear persuaded you way better than any positive benefit ever could. Humans like to avoid pain more than move towards pleasure. Always remember that. Here's a quote I really like on this. Quote, "If you look at the cellular level of the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, the thinking and memory forming parts of the brain, when you're living under constant states of fear and anxiety, you can actually see them shutting down. They shrink, they wither, and the amygdala actually gets bigger. Our rational thinking mind starts to not be as optimal because the body's prioritizing survival, right? And the fear emotion perpetuates us taking some sort of action." And here's a quote on what I just said that I really like. "Fear prepares us to react to danger. Once we sense a potential danger, our bodies release hormones that slow or shut down functions not needed for survival, sharpen functions that might help us survive, such as eyesight, heart rate increases, and blood flows to muscles so we can run faster." So you can see how base level and animalistic things can get when someone lives in perpetual fear mode. When anxiety and fear is something they constantly see and consume in their lives, the decisions they make are driven by that. The body is viewing this as, okay, I need to make decisions now that prioritize my survival because I'm in threat right now, because I'm perceiving things as fears and threats. Where is this perception coming from? For example, you're watching the news, it's only perpetuating negativity. How is your worldview of the world going to be? It's a dangerous place, right?
Right. I mean, just to touch on it real quick, because like, I guess that's why within one of the other videos we watched, the guy says that he doesn't watch the news, and that's one of the reasons why he ended up becoming rich. Because if it seems like if the news is always has something negative going on, They're always talking about something negative. You know what I'm saying? They might throw some positive curveballs in there here and there, but majority of what they're going to talk about, something's going to be negative. And so if you're always watching the news, you're always afraid of what's going on, and you're always hearing about what's going on, and it might put you in type of a fear mode, like, oh shit, man, this is going on in the world today. This is going on in the world. Damn, the world's a shitty place. Blah 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 blah. World's getting terrible. World's getting more worse over and over. And you might just be stuck in that mindset that this is everything around you, or at least, or if not everything, it's most things around you is just bad news. You know what I'm saying? It's just you get things, something you have to worry about, something you have to be afraid of, and that fear is obviously being used to, you know, manipulate you into doing certain things and acting a certain way. And like, if you don't go to college and get a degree, you're not gonna be success. You're not gonna be able to get yourself a good job and be successful in life. That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? When people are turning around, just becoming entrepreneurs, teaching themselves how to do these things, and making millions after, you know, figuring things out. Fear, though, keeps them from wanting to do that.
So you don't have time for emotions that are high in a higher vibration like joy, gratitude, and contentment, because you're at a baseline reptilian survival emotion. Here's another quote. For mass media, insurance companies, big pharma, advocacy groups, lawyers, politicians, and so many more, your fear is worth billions. And fortunately for them, your fear is also very easy to manipulate. We're wired to respond to it above everything else. If we miss an opportunity for abundance, life goes on. But if you miss an important fear cue, it doesn't. So this is powerful right here. When we talk about living a better life, right, you want to experience high vibration emotions that are in alignment with a great life, right? Like I said, emotions like joy, for example. But in order to have emotions like joy, you need to perceive your environment as being safe. So when your environment is safe, now you can easily create the things that you want in your life. It's easier. I'm not saying you can't if it's unsafe, but it's easier if it is. Now, we have a negativity bias, as in we watch for threats, because if we don't notice the threat, we're not going to be alive to even live the amazing life that we want, right? So it makes a lot of sense. But the problem here is that these societal infrastructures, politicians, big pharma, these domains of society prioritize financial gain over your ability to live high vibration emotions. They don't care about that. That's none of their business. They care.
And since your fear is so easy to control and makes them money, and you're more readily manipulated if you're in a state of fear, then they just want to keep you in that constant state of fear. Hence things like the news always putting out, you know, fearful topics. You know what I'm saying?
Care about monetary, tangible things like profit, bigger customer bases, etc. So it would make sense that if they don't have your best interest at heart, then you need to be more responsible for the emotions that you feel. So that means you need to watch what you consume. You need to watch the things that they feed you. You have to question things like that. And I'm going to get more into that later in this video. Quote, the more we learn about the brain, the more we learn it's not something that's supposed to make you happy all the time. It's mostly a stress reactive machine. Its primary job is to keep us alive, which is why it's so easy to flip people into fear all the time. So now I'm going to get into the different parts of the brain. I'm going to just keep this very baseline and simple. So you have the reptilian brain, which I mentioned deals with mainly survival and also bodily processes as well. Next, you have the limbic brain, which deals with your emotional centers, right? Hippocampus, things like that. And then you have the neocortex, which deals with your rationality, things like abstract thinking, cognition, etc. Let's focus on the emotional centers, mainly the amygdala. The triangle of neurons on the amygdala parses through stimuli coming in from the outside world, looking for, and among other things, threats. If it senses danger, then the neurons start firing, signaling that the central amygdala to activate a defense response to the body. This whole process is an unconscious physiological response. Perspiration, increased heart rate, shortness of breath. So that's what it looks like bodily wise when it comes to fear. Now,
Okay.
a quick distinction between fear and anxiety is that fear is something that you are experiencing that's present, or it's very close to happening and you're extremely certain. Anxiety is a feeling that you're anticipating something to happen, but it's not present at all. It's more so something coming from the mind. Now let's look at areas where fear and anxiety is used mainly against you to go for certain agendas or to act certain ways that are in the best interest of certain societal domains or infrastructures.
Let's do it.
First, the news. The news prioritizes viewership, of course. And a lot of times people focus on things that are negative because the brain is looking to survive. It's scanning for threats. So if it's noticing something that's a threat, it's gonna pay attention to it. Okay, what can I do about this thing that's happening in the news right now? Is this a direct threat to me? Is it not? Let me be on alert. Now, I'm not saying to not stay up to date on things, you should, but what things actually matter and what things actually don't, that's a very important distinction here. Because you can get lost in the sauce when it comes to things that don't matter and things that are just sensationalized to get your attention, to get people talking. We live in an attention economy. If you have people's attention, that can be very lucrative. Here's a quote: propagandists work under the assumption that people eventually believe what they hear most often. The constant hyping of a culture of fear has rhetorically scared otherwise reasonable people into irrational emotions and behaviors. What's repeated most often has a profound impact on the psyche. So it's twofold. You have repetition, which is a method used to program your subconscious mind. Right, when you repeat things over and over again. Emotion, repetition and emotion, the emotion of fear. So you have repetition and fear combined together can program you. This is powerful stuff when we look at what media we take in, not just the news, but I'm talking social media, I'm talking television shows. Next, politics. I touched on that just briefly. Politicians use fear in order to gain your votes, if votes even count. They use this as a way of galvanizing people towards a certain cause, right? Towards a certain way of thinking. And when you can galvanize people under not just a way of thinking, but an emotion, they feel closer together and they feel more against the opposition. That's how it's used in politics. Quote, we regress to tribalism when afraid. This is an evolutionary advantage that would lead to the group cohesion and help us fight the other tribes to survival. Tribalism is the biological loophole that many politicians have banked on for a long time, tapping into our fears and tribal instincts. Some examples are Nazism, the Ku Klux Klan, religious wars, and the Dark Ages. In my video for ego defense mechanisms you're not seeing, I talked about splitting, the ability to not see nuance in an argument. This is the bread and butter of a lot of political movements. It's us versus them. We don't need to see their side because they're wrong, they're evil, we're the right people, we're fighting for good, basically. Next.
I guess that's basically how they keep people income and they keep society. What the government things the government can do to keep society against itself. You know what I'm saying? If you're focused on the other group that is for this one thing that you're not necessarily for, then you won't be focused on what the government may or may not be doing and, behind their back. So more recently, some groups like, some activist groups like, the feminism movements and maybe even the LGBTQIA, I think I call them plus movements. Like maybe they're feeling like if we don't act and try to if we don't act for our rights, then someone's going to take us from us or keep us from being able to, or keep us from being us, or keep us from being able to be us. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to oppress us. And so that anxiety of something that's not even present, because it's 2023 and a lot of people, we don't give a shit what your sexual preference may or may not be. But a lot of people might just think, hey, if we don't act for our rights, then some other group will try to oppress us. And of course, like I said, like he said, that anxiety of something that's not even there is going to force people to act, and out of fear, pretty much. And so if the only thing it takes is just some whispers in the dark in order to get people talking about things that normally they wouldn't worry about. So I get where he's going with this. I'm gonna watch the rest of this video. It seems like a really, really good video. But at the same time, it's when you're watching this video, or when you're watching this video, it's kind of like now we're giving you more fear, because now we're giving you something else to be afraid of, something else to fear, something else to be anxious about, because now you're wondering how society may or may not be trying to manipulate you through fear and anxiety. And now, you might even start watching the news with a little extra anxiety or something about, like, oh, they're trying to get me somehow, some way. Don't do that. Just keep yourself calm, keep yourself chill. Just try your best to enjoy life without worrying about any what ifs. You are going to you should watch what you consume, and like television wise and stuff like that. But yeah, try to keep yourself in a positive mindset. You feel me? And then don't worry about things that people tell you to worry about. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I would say trust me, but just give it a shot. You feel me? But as always, if you want to see the rest of this video, go ahead and check it out. Link will be in the description below, along with the link to the channel. So go ahead and check out Jem Veda. And while you're there, checking out his channel, don't forget to do those 3 things I like to ask you to do. And like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. And you know what it is after that. In case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace, and much love to you.